In this second tutorial, we will write equations of quadratic functions given a graph. So let's flip over to our final example, example 4. It says use the given graph to write the equation of our quadratic in standard form. So our standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we need to find the values of a, b, and c, and then we will have our answer. We will just plug them in as the coefficients in our standard form. So a, b, and c, what we're looking for. Let's first focus on the value of a. I'm going to find my vertex in my graph. The value of a, I can clearly see that the value of a is going to be negative since my graph is opening upside down. The value of a will always be the output when you move 1 unit to the right of your starting point, of your vertex. So when I move 1 unit to the right of my star, I'm going down exactly 1 unit, and that would be -1. So therefore a must be -1. So this is my normal pattern just upside down, and we can confirm that if we move 2 units to the right, we should be going down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is true. So we have the value of a. The next one that is easy to see is the value of c. Okay, so the value of c will always be our y-intercept, and that is something that we can see in our graph. Here is our y-intercept right here, and that must be the value of 1. It is 0, 1 as an ordered pair, so c must be 1. So now we have 2 of our 3 numbers that we need. The toughest one to find is the value of b. But I do know that the opposite of b divided by 2a has something to do with our vertex. The opposite of b divided by 2a is the x-coordinate of my vertex. So if I knew the x-coordinate of my vertex, I can figure out what b is going to be. So our vertex has an x-coordinate of -2. Since the x-coordinate of our vertex is -2, we know that the opposite of b divided by 2a will be equal to -2. And here's our equation. Now obviously we still have 2 variables in our equation, but we already know what one of them is. Since a is -1, this now becomes the opposite of b divided by 2 times -1 will equal -2. And now our equation has only one variable, so we should be able to solve for it. Let's simplify this. This is the opposite of b. 2 times -1 becomes -2. So now this is our equation. And we know that a negative divided by a negative becomes a positive, so I'll just kind of cross those out. And now we have b over 2 is equal to -2. And one last step, we will multiply by 2 to undo a fraction. We're going to multiply by the denominator, and now that cancels out, and we have that b equals -4. So now that we know that b equals -4, we have a, we have c. Now we can write our equation. We can write y equals, if we want to be boring, or we could write something like f of x, a fancy symbol, or a of x or b of x, or maybe your initial of your first name. And a is -1, so we'll put the negative sign. You could put a 1 here, but I'm just going to put the -x squared. Plus bx, that would be -4x, plus c, that's +1. And there's our equation in standard form. Hopefully that method works for you. If you're looking for an alternative, I think it requires a little bit more algebra, a little bit more work. I think that understanding this to how to find b is some simple arithmetic. But if you'd like a second way to do this, we could first write our equation in vertex form. We've had practice doing that. Our vertex is -2 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our vertex is -2, 5. So if I wanted to write this in vertex form, a is a -1 still, we knew that. So negative and then x plus 2 quantity squared, and then plus k, which would be 5. And then we can take this vertex form and FOIL out our quantity and simplify our terms, and we would get our answer that way. So let's do that. So now I've got y equals negative. I'm going to put x plus 2 and x plus 2 side by side so I can see my FOIL. So here's our negative sign. Don't forget that there's a negative sign here. And x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, another x times 2 is another 2x, that's why we have 4x in the middle, and 2 times 2 is 4. I know how to FOIL, and then plus 5. Now I've got this negative sign that I need to distribute, so this becomes negative x squared, and negative 4x, and negative 4, and then plus 5. And then you can see we have one last little step. The negative 4 and the 5 will come together, and I will have negative x squared minus 4x, and then plus 1. And lo and behold, that is exactly what we just got right here. So I would prefer that you tell what A is from the graph, and you tell what C is from the graph, and then you use this idea that negative b over 2a equals the x coordinate of your vertex and solve this equation for b, and then you'll have a, b, and c, plug them in and you're finished. But if you struggle with that at all, or you want to check it a different way, you can write the equation in vertex form first and then do the algebra to get your terms all separated, and that is your standard form. Either way, we'll practice this more in class, and thanks for watching this tutorial. Bye-bye.